If we put language learning in the context of physics, we need to reduce our time spent with the language so that we can learn faster. I'll explain how this is possible. This video relates to all of you who are starting a new language from scratch without any experience with the target language. Therefore, one of the most demanding things in language learning is to go from 0 to B1 level. That is the point when the language starts being comprehensible. You'll probably recognize the term since I have already made a bunch of YouTube videos about comprehensible input and how we actually acquire a language. But what if the language is still not comprehensible to us, and how to increase the speed of the process of learning from 0 until the point when the language becomes understandable? Well, generally speaking, you have two options in order to reach B1 level in a language. The first one is to hire a professional who will guide you throughout the language. I would say that the success of your journey towards reaching the B1 level depends more on the methods that the professional would use in order to introduce you in the target language than the proficiency he has in this language. The second option, if you're a language enthusiast, is to do it yourself. If you opted for this second option, you're my guy, and let's explain the graph from the very beginning of this video. As you may see, in order to increase our velocity, we have to take care about two other variables in this equation. D is actually destination, or the way we have to pass from 0 until the B1 level in the target language. The problem with D variable is that it's not defined by many language learners. They are going all around the places, trying all different methods, trying all different things, or things that will not lead them to B1 level. This is why the line is often curved, not a straight line. So in order for this equation to work, you have to make a straight line towards your destination, and this is B1 level. In order to get that line straight, you have to have detailed and prepared plan in advance that will eventually lead you to the result and B1 level. I often regard language learning as a small project that has a set of activities and time frame in which you will perform all these activities, and this is something that I talked more about in this video, so you can check it out later. So if you have a detailed plan that is prepared in advance before even started learning a language, then your D is constant. In other words, this is doing the right things or effectiveness in the language learning. On the other hand, we have efficiency, and efficiency is all about other variable or doing the things in the right way so you can reduce your time for learning the language and increase your velocity while learning. So let's go back and make a parallel with driving the car towards your destination. In order to reach the destination on the highway as fast as possible, you have to switch your gears during your drive. So I would say that language learning is the same thing, and it has 5 gears. So if you respect the order of these gears and accelerate while driving the vehicle, you will eventually hit that 5th gear and reach the fastest possible speed in order to achieve the effectiveness and efficiency in this process of learning of a foreign language. The first gear, or the starting point where you are supposed to move your vehicle, is the research. In order to start learning any language, you have to do the research and get information about the origin of the language, get information about the specificities of this language and eventual similarities with the language or languages that you already speak. This research will save you so much time, because in advance you will know with which problems you face and how to reshape your strategy towards reaching this B1 level, what would be the most difficult things that you have to cope with while learning this foreign language. When you accelerate your vehicle enough in order to put it in the second gear, this is the time where you should go through the learning of the script of the target language. I cannot stress how important this step is, because if you don't learn the script, you won't be able to get to the point where you can use the comprehensible input. This would be a huge disadvantage of your language learning, and it can be a very huge challenge to master the script of the languages that are too distant, or for instance learn Chinese symbols. But this is very important thing that you should not skip, because on this step everything else depends later. After learning the script, that might take from a couple of days to even a couple of months, you need to put in the third gear and learn the pronunciation system. Once again, this can be more or less difficult issue, but it is of the utmost importance to learn the system of pronunciation in the concrete language, to learn at least these basic rules. For instance, in Italian, if there is C and E, it's always pronounced as che. If there is H between them, then it would be pronounced as que. Or for instance, in French, you should not pronounce H. It's something that's called H aspiré. For instance, in the case of Chinese, you should learn how to pronounce the pinyin system and how you should pronounce the different accents. And don't forget that the third gear is the strongest one, so please take advantage of mastering the system of pronunciation at the very beginning of your language learning journey. Important notice: you have languages such as English in which you have so many exceptions when it comes to pronunciation, and don't be bothered by these exceptions at these stages of language learning. It is enough to learn the most common rules of the pronunciation in the target language. When you finish the two previous steps, then you're ready for the gear number 4, and this is focusing on words. Words are the part of the language that you cannot avoid, and the fastest way to learn the words is, of course, in the context. Since you're a beginner and it is not possible to learn from the context and memorize words from the context, there is something that can increase immensely your ability to memorize the words, even they are not in the phrase or a sentence. So this is something that is called spaced repetition system, and there is one super interesting and super efficient system that I would always recommend, that is called a lighter box. This is actually a game that you can play in a certain period of time with a schedule. If you want to learn more about spaced repetition system and lighter box, you can watch a series of videos that I made, and I guarantee you that this is the most efficient way of learning separate words in the language that you started learning from scratch. By playing lighter box, you can learn a couple of hundred words in a very short period of time, and what is the most important thing, you will be able to memorize them permanently for just a couple of weeks. Knowing a couple of hundreds of words or even 1,000 words is a huge thing, because you already cover a huge percentage of the words you can use in your target language. And of course, there are things that might help you while making your flashcards, such as frequency, vocabularies, that will tell you what are the most common words in the target language. But I highly recommend you to watch the series of videos that I made for making Turkish flashcards, because in just 3 videos I explain in detail how to make efficient flashcards and how to memorize the words from these flashcards efficiently by only playing a game, literally 15 minutes per day. And when you switched all these 4 gears, then you should put it in the 5th gear. Thus the 5th gear in the language learning process is to learn basic rules in the language, and don't be too focus on grammar, just leave it for the 5th gear and learn only basic concepts in the language, such as basic tenses, present, future, past tense, and some exceptions in this language, such as, for instance, cases in German, can play a huge role in order to understand the language better and use the comprehensible input afterwards. And of course, if you did all these 5 steps as planned, then you will be able probably to put in the 6th gear and use the basic forms of comprehensible input even in these stages, such as comic books, because they are super easy to understand, or to try to find the literature in your target language that is written for A1, A2, B1 level, and use this comprehensible input in order to accelerate your speed towards reaching B1 level or reducing the time spent with the language. Things that I will use for 6th gear as well are the internet resources, such as good YouTube channels with very comprehensible input that is made for these lower levels of the language proficiency, such as A1, A2, B1, but pay attention that the content has to be interesting to you. Let me know if you like this parallel with physics while learning foreign languages, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and provide support by liking or sharing this video, and see you in some of the next videos. Bye!